Hi Beatle people, how's everybody doing? I know it's been a little while since I've made a video and I apologize. I guess I'm recovering from McCartney fever, and I'm not saying that just, metaphorically. I mean it literally. Because I guess standing outside in the rain, waiting for Paul to come by is not the smartest thing to do. I literally had laryngitis for a good 4 days, and then a cold just kind of ensued from that. Still not 100%, but I'm feeling so much better than I've been, so I thought it would be a good time to finally make a video. A lot of the other people in the Beatle community have been doing this, so I wanted to do my response as well to the 2-month anniversary of the Beatles Sirius XM channel. And I basically agree with what everybody out there is saying. The typical Beatles songs, the hits, are being played, and yeah, we're sick of them. Even the songs that aren't as typical, you find they keep playing them over and over and over. I've lost count of how many times I've heard things we've said today. Oh look, we have a special guest. All You Need Is Love, Back in the USSR, or really any song that's off of the Sgt. Pepper album. They've just been playing it and killing it. I'm sick of it. So sick of it. But the thing is, I noticed that other people have been saying, like, they'll just flip the channel and turn it off and wait 2 minutes and go back and see if something better comes on. I can't seem to turn it off. I feel like it's, sacrilegious to turn off a Beatles song. So even though I'm like, oh, I'm hearing this for the, millionth time, I find myself still singing. And I guess that's the wonderful thing about Beatles music, is as much as you hate some of these songs, and no, hate is a strong word, you're sick of some of these songs, you still find yourself singing. And that's how you know that they've done something good. And there will be, times where you'll actually hear like, oh, that's something good. Like I was driving in the car the other day and I heard Youngblood from Live at the BBC, sung by George Harrison. And that, that got me going, that got me smiling. And yesterday on my way to work, I actually heard Baby It's You. And I love that cover. And so I was just blasting it. The other segments that they have, like the things that the Beatles used to listen to, I wish they wouldn't do it as often. It's still kind of cool to hear, because, every once in a while you'll get a good Buddy Holly song, or you'll get the Searchers, or you'll get an Elvis song, or a Lonnie Donegan song. And, it's kind of cool. And also you'll hear cover songs other artists have done, which I love Beatles cover songs. I always like to hear how other artists interpret them, and it either goes one of two ways. There's no really gray area. Either it's great and you love it and they stay true to the song, or it totally just sucks. And there's no other really good, good way to say it. It's either good or it's bad. But I find I keep also hearing the same covers over and over. And there's thousands of Beatle covers to choose from. I mean, you could literally play the entire I Am Sam soundtrack and never go wrong, because they did that album brilliantly. But I keep hearing I'm a Loser from Beat Bugs, sung by James Corden, over and over and over. And the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is great. But now I'm just sick of it. I also heard one time Jennifer Hudson doing Golden Slumbers. And I actually really enjoyed that. But other than that, you really don't hear too many good Beatles covers. I keep hearing lots of obscure ones from artists that I don't even know. When, there's Fiona Apple, there's The Wallflowers, there's David Bowie. There's so many good Beatles covers out there that should be being played on Sirius XM. I know everybody's been putting their 2 cents in about the segment called My Fab Four. And man, you're right. You're all right out there. It is horrible. So basically, for those of you that don't know, you can write into SiriusXM. I think the email is myfab4@siriusxm.com. And you get to pick your 4 favorite Beatles songs, why you love them, and they put it on the air. Everybody's got the same generic song choices. I wish I could remember song for song the one that I heard earlier last week, but it was some lady that was doing the typical Hey Jude, Blackbird, like, I don't know. I wish I could remember. I should have written it down. But it was just so overdone. You would think, there are more people out there in the world, especially if they're listening to the SiriusXM channel, and they're willing to write in and put in a My Fab Four, that they would, be bigger fans. So we know what we have to do, guys. We have to write into SiriusXM, put in our Fab Fours, and pray that they get picked. Maybe we should just be flooding them with emails. Because maybe, we could finally get some good material on this station. And I worked in radio. Well, sort of. I was an intern for a good year. And so I know how it goes. I know why, they pick the formats that they pick, and it's all done by computers now. Basically, you'll put in track by track, where I worked, you had your commercials, and of course this is commercial free, but they have, their little tidbits that they put in, and it's just the same stuff over and over. So we need to do something about it. We can't just sit back and complain about it. So I'm going to come up with a kick-ass list, and I'm going to send it to My Fab Four. A lot of the other shows that they have going on the channel, they're okay. Of course, every morning from 8 to 11, you have Chris Carter's Breakfast with the Beatles, which I am never in my car to listen to, and I would feel like I would be, betraying my boss man, Joe Johnson of Beatle Brunch, if I'm listening to Breakfast with the Beatles. Got, competition. So I'm usually not up to hear Chris Carter. And then Peter Asher has a show called From Me to You. It's okay. I kind of get a little bored listening to it, because I feel like Peter Asher only has so many stories to tell. And of course, he just keeps going on about how the Beatles wrote their best hits. And, he tries to do his best to segue into other topics. Yesterday, I was listening to a repeat episode of From Me to You, and he actually segued into Billy J. Kramer, who, of course, had other songs written for him by John and Paul. So that was kind of neat, but I feel like, what else can you talk about? There's really nothing. It's like, yeah, your sister dated Paul McCartney for a few years. You used to go to each other's houses. There's really not much else that us Beatle fans don't know about. And then, of course, the best show that they have on this whole channel is the Fab Forum. This plays every Wednesday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on the Beatles channel, and it's hosted by Dennis Elsis and Bill Flanagan. And it's basically like Beatles geek heaven. The best part about the show is when they do the discussions and they have, fans calling in. And I try to call in every single episode, and I can never, ever get through. And I'm pretty sure I'm dialing the number right. And I can never, ever get in. The one time that I actually did was through Twitter. They were actually doing a really cool discussion of misheard Beatle lyrics. And so I didn't have one personally, but my father, this is a great story, used to think that the words to I'm Only Sleeping, instead of lying there staring at the ceiling, he used to think it said blind man staring at the ceiling, waiting for a sleepy feeling. And they actually read that on the air. So, and I forgot who said it, but they were like, that sounds like a Leninism. That sounds like something John Lennon would have written. And I was just like, yeah, I'm on the radio. But not really. I don't love it when they have these big, long, drawn-out interviews on the Fab Forum. The other day, they had Todd Rundgren for about a half an hour, and I was just bored out of my mind listening to it. It's way more interesting when you have the fans talking about, you know, stuff that's going on in the Beatle world and the little discussion topics that they try and throw out there. I think Peter Frampton was on the show, and I can't listen to Peter Frampton talk for 30 minutes. And a few weeks before that, they had Marshall Crenshaw, and they were talking about how he used to be in the cast of Beatlemania. Like I said, kind of puts you to sleep. Or maybe it's just me because I get out of work around that time and I'm, you know, starting to crash. But it's really not something that I like. So, Bill Flanagan, Dennis Alsis, if you guys are out there listening, more Beatle discussions, get more people on the phone, get more fans to come in. I would love to be on the show. That's what we should do. We need a campaign to get me on the Fab Forum for an episode. Hey, I go back home to New York all the time. I'm willing. I'm able. We can make this happen. Let's do it. Also, another show that is on the Beatles Sirius XM channel is called Northern Songs, and it's also hosted by Bill Flanagan. And it's basically songs from the later Beatles era, and it's all about artists that were on the Apple label. So they don't just talk about the Beatles, they talk about, you know, James Taylor, Mary Hopkins, and Badfinger, and all of those other Apple artists on Northern Songs. So my friends, that's about it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you wish to do so. I can't wait to hear all of your comments and what you guys think about the SiriusXM Beatles channel, what you guys think so far. Also, I have a Facebook fan page, which I will put a link in the description below. So if you want to chat about more Beatles things, or pictures that I take, or news articles that I share, we could just be geeks and talk about the Beatles all day long, and I'll be sharing my videos on there as well. All right, my friends, until next time, as always, peace and love. See ya.